saddest matcha you've ever seen in your life? Hi guys, so today is Tuesday and I'm actually in a rush, so what's new? I'm going to go meet my mum for coffee and to thrift because that's literally all we do together. If nothing's broken, why fix it? Yesterday I didn't even touch in because I had what I like to call a routine day. I woke up, I went to the gym, I went grocery shopping. Whimsy, what's wrong? Yeah, a routine day for me is waking up, going to the gym, going to the grocery shop, and then going to the post office. It was just like a bunch of that. Came back, cleaned the house, cooked, and then we went for a walk at night, and then came back, read my book, and went to sleep. Like, that was my day. So I felt like I kind of just filmed what I could, but I didn't really get to check in, which is fine because sometimes that happens. I don't really know what I'm doing exactly, but I'll take you along with me. Up just refilming my January favorites because I wasn't obsessed with the last one. I'm still trying to tripper through this book. I have a feeling I'm going to either binge it in one day. It's not even a bad book, it's just very articulate and like poetic because that's how language was, and it takes me a second to unpack what I just read. So really I'm only reading like 4 pages every time I sit down, and then I'm like, I need a break. So I'm gonna try and storm through it because I bought so many books recently that I just want to start reading them. The love of my life. I'm gonna start reading. I told myself if I don't take my scarf off then I'm not relaxing and I have a job to do, and this is the job. So I'm gonna try my best. Like, look how delicious that looks. That's what we'll be making today. And I'm ready to eat. I was halfway through filming this and then my camera died, so we're gonna switch back to the iPhone. Today I went with a friend to a bookshop and a cafe that I've been meaning to go to. The matcha at the cafe was really delicious. The bookshop was actually really great. They had a really good selection of new books, but also like secondhand books that were in really great condition. But I've been looking for a copy of Madonna in a Fur Coat for, well, ever since I read it, which is only recently, but like I just was baffled. I'm like, why is this so hard to find? It's meant to be a classic. It's like kind of maybe viral on TikTok. I don't know, from like the tunnel I'm in it is. I can't find it in Sydney. If you go online, they can order it in for you, which to be honest, like I probably should have done, but like I need instant gratification. Like I need to get it instantly. And I even went and looked for it in New York. So I've crossed seas to find this book. The mission is over. The mission is over today. So let me tell you what happened. I'm literally standing there and I'm saying, I really need a copy of Madonna in a Fur Coat. I can't find it anywhere. And then I was like, let me just go ask the shop assistant. And I was like, do you have a copy of Madonna in a Fur Coat? And I'm fully expecting her to say, no, I can order it in for you, because every single place I've been to, I said that exact same line. No, but I can order it in for you. And then she goes, oh my God, yes, we have one copy left. So I have a copy of the book. Isn't the cover just so cute? I really love this and I'm so happy that I have it. It's stunning. I'm obsessed. I'm so happy. It will be going on my bookshelf that I haven't organized. I went to Muji to grab some pens because I've heard that they're great and they're affordable. I drove half an hour for two $2.50 pens. So honestly, they have to be worth it at this point. I grabbed olives too if you're interested. Okay, if you're wondering why I look and sound like this, it's because I just brushed Whimsy and now I cannot stop sneezing and my nose is already crooked. I have a deviated septum and whenever I get any sort of allergies or hay fever, I just get so congested, my ears start hurting. So I really should get a nose job. Like how embarrassing to be sneezing and coughing on a 30-degree day. Like that's so embarrassing. But anyway, I did want to give a recap of my thoughts on Anne Radcliffe's Sicilian Romance. I wrote down my thoughts. I put the cat charm that I thrifted on my journal. Just looks so cute there. I've written it down so that I could remember. It is a gothic romance novel. It's adventurous, it's scenic, a classic, poetic. But I would give it like a 3 out of 5 star. I honestly don't like the out of 5-star system, so I might like try to stop doing that because I feel like I can't compute how it's 3 stars or how it's not 3 stars. Like I really don't understand. Ultimately, it's not a bad book because it really isn't a bad book. It's actually a good book. There were pockets in it that I enjoyed and read eagerly, but it did drag on a bit, which I think a lot of people who have read the book have said the same thing. Most of it was predictable, which I think is also a very common thought on this book. And the language of the book, because again it's written in 1790, it takes me a little while to like unpack what I just read. Like if I can I'll find like a random paragraph and I'll read it to you and you'll be like, okay, I get what you're saying, for example. And if you think, oh my god, that's so easy to understand, like what are you talking about, good for you, okay, great for you. But I just was like, I understood it, but I'd have to be like, okay, now on to the next. Like that's how I would read it. Anyways, Pleasure had withdrawn her beam
from the prospect, and the objects, no longer illuminated by her ray, became dark and colourless. As often as her situation would permit, she withdrew from society and sought the freedom of solitude, where she would indulge in melancholy thoughts and give a loose to the despair which is so apt to follow the disappointment of our first hopes. That's not even the hardest paragraph, but like, it's the whole book's like that. So sometimes I'd read certain things and I'm like, okay, so that word doesn't mean what it means now. So what did it mean then? And then also, what do they mean by that? Are they being poetic or literal? I don't understand. So sometimes I would have a bit of trouble trying to stay focused while reading this. Like those times where I would read like 4 pages a day, and then some days I'd read like 40 pages a day. Like it really just depended on where the story was at, because as I said, it did drag on a little bit. I loved the ending. I think the ending of the book honestly made the book so much better. Because it went really fast, and it was plot twists and realizations and like happy endings and sad endings all within like 40 pages. And I was like, okay, like I really liked that. We have consumed so much romance, novels, shows, movies, whatever, in the century that we're in now. Whereas then, I'm sure people reading it were like, oh my god, this is crazy. Again, that's why I can't necessarily fault it, because I'm like, it's a classic. The author, Anne, would introduce characters so abruptly, which sometimes gave me whiplash. Like sometimes you'd be reading and you're like, okay, now I'm understanding who this person is and who this person is, and you're like grasping the ideas, because sometimes as well she would give a character 2 names in terms of like their name in status or hierarchy versus their actual name, and sometimes I would have to remember both of the names, and then she would randomly introduce a character and I would have no idea who it is, and then you have to really keep reading to understand their place in the plot. So that sometimes really confused me. I can't dislike this book because the only things that are at fault are because of context, like the language, the double entendres, the meaning of words, or the slow plot. It's not her fault. It's like, I'm comparing this to literature that I'm reading today. I wrote down my favorite quote from the book. In reviewing the story, we perceive a singular and striking instance of moral retribution. And we learn also that those who do only that which is right endure nothing in misfortune but a trial of their virtue. And from trials well endured derive the surest claim to the protection of heaven. And I thought that was a really great quote because it kind of summed up everything. Then also remember, guys, how the beginning of the book had this handwritten little note from an Amma. I reread it when I finished the book and I was like, wow, like that's really sweet as to like why he wrote that. I'll reread the quote that he wrote at the front of the book, because then you'll be like, oh. Hope you, holding this book, enjoy this book. I left it in a community library box in the hope someone can derive the same pleasure I did from this. Life is short but not easy, but with the embrace of our loved ones and the love we share back, it makes the seconds flow a little easier. Lots of love, Amma. And I remember when I first read that quote, I was like, oh my god, love. And then I'm halfway through the book and I'm like, I don't get where he's coming from, because at that point it was just adventure and predictability and I wasn't really getting the romance. And then right at the end, after it finished, I was like, I get why he wrote that, and it was really sweet. So this was a good pick and I'm happy I read this, so I do recommend this book.